My name is Rachel Davidson, and this is Homeschool Connections. As the title suggests, we are here to look at homeschooling. We will specifically be looking at homeschooling in the state of Idaho. Now, each state has different requirements, and each state can be more or less restrictive in their requirements. As Carlson notes on page 11 of his paper, Context and Regulation of Homeschooling, issues, evidence, and assessment practices, state-to-state variability in homeschooling regulations cannot be overstated. These regulations affect many aspects of homeschooling, from what is taught to who may teach it, from filing notice to reporting progress, from seeking special education services to participating in extracurricular activities, and from documenting achievement to assessment practices. Idaho is one of the least restrictive states, according to HSLDA standards. HSLDA being Homeschool Legal Defense Association. Kermit Rainman uses these standards to compile a list on transcriptmaker.com. This list has Idaho right below Alaska. Now, I'm not necessarily sure if this was done in any order from least restrictive to most restrictive, but it might be safe to say so, because it looks like Alaska is the least restrictive. For Idaho, it says, no notice to the school district is required, nor do homeschool parents have to possess specific qualifications, obtain district approvals, do testing, or provide information about their homeschool program if asked. They must select an instructor for their children, which can be anybody, including themselves. They are also required to teach language arts, math, science, and social studies. Now, let's look at the no notice to the school district. This simply means that if you aren't going to homeschool if you're going to homeschool your children, you don't have to tell the school district. They can't mark them as truant, and homeschool parents having to possess specific qualifications. In Idaho, they don't have to do that, which means you don't have to have a teaching degree to teach your children. However, Idaho wasn't always one of the least restrictive states. According to a video done by Christian Homeschoolers of Idaho State, or CHOICE, this video is called Idaho Homeschool History, and it's posted on YouTube. In this video, it talks about 6 Idaho parents who were homeschooling their children and were jailed in 1984 because of homeschooling their children. Then, in 1990, some students were charged with habitual truancy because of not being in school and being homeschooled instead. The leniency of Idaho's homeschool laws seems to be appealing to others, though, not just the people who are currently homeschooling. I asked one of my college professors what her thoughts on homeschooling are, and she allowed me to get a recording of her answer. At one point, this was part of her reply.
I think that people who are moving here are often doing that because they do want more freedom in how they raise and educate their families. I think that's probably true for a lot of people who come here with young children.
And I see that even with people who have lived here much longer than people who are just moving here. As I said, my whole family was I didn't say that yet. My whole family was homeschooled. My older siblings were both homeschooled. I believe my oldest sister was the only one who had any time in a public school. My 2 triplet siblings and I were homeschooled our whole lives. And we even did some homeschooling of our own when we were homeschooling my nieces. We taught them for a little while, and then we also slightly helped homeschool some of our cousins. When we would babysit them, we would make sure they were doing their homework. And while I've never really thought about homeschooling laws, it would be beneficial for even the people who were homeschooled to learn them, I suppose. Um, that is that's mostly what I have to say about homeschooling. The homeschooling laws in Idaho seem pretty simple and lenient. They do require you to do specific things, and that seems fair. So, homeschooling in Idaho is probably one of the best places to homeschool.